So within this context, what a lot of my clients and brands out there are saying is, where do we start? Right? Which of these technologies do we pursue? Understanding that some of them are going to have a shelf life that's very limited. Where do we begin? I think that the simplest thing to do is this. Begin by not thinking about channels. You've got to stop distinguishing between web and mobile and print and conventional media versus digital. Stop thinking about channels. Don't even think omni-channel, because everyone said, well, it's just all one big channel. No, it's not. It's not all one big channel, because if you take that approach, you're going to treat everything evenly. You're going to treat everything like it's important, and it may not be for your brand. We're down now. We're very close to a time where you have to start thinking in these terms. It's about locations, events, opportunities, moments, instants, where your product is relevant. And you need to use whatever means you can to understand that path to purchase for your consumer, whoever they are. You need to understand the journey between the two shelves and the moments of their life where your product becomes relevant along the path to purchase. That's really the key thing. So, diapers. There's a lot of times we think about diapers, right? How many of you have kids, little kids, right? So you're thinking about diapers all the time, right? It's not just when you're standing in front of the shelf in the store, and it's not just when you're changing your child at home. There's a lot of times during the day you're thinking, do we have diapers? Do we need diapers? I better buy diapers, right? So where are those moments along the path to purchase? Where do we think about holidays? It's not always when we're in the travel agency, right? What are the moments that are most conducive? When do we think about automobiles? Understand that path to purchase. And then once you determine along the path to purchase where you're most relevant, you need to select not the most relevant device to be on, because I think we're beyond the device now too, or we're getting there. You need to think about what surface I need to be on. What surface is most appropriate in that setting at that moment for my consumer to use to connect with me, or possibly even to buy from me, right? So, and you've got a lot of surfaces to choose from. This is just a few. So, we've moved from a place where it was all about driving messages to a place now that is about understanding the consumer's journey and trying to be there for them in a mobile way at the minute that they need you in a relevant way. And I think that's going to go even further. Now this notion of consumer and control. Here's a quick test for you. How many of you can name all four of these faces? Raise your hand if you can name all four. This is a bit of a dating test, too. We can date you. It's like carbon dating. We can date you this way. Okay, so some of you, yes, you got all four. How many of you can name three? Okay, all right. So you're a little younger, and you probably got stuck on the second one, right? And some people say it's Rhoda's mother, right? It is Rhoda's mother. She's also Rosie, the quicker picker-upper. And how many of you got none? Because you got to be like 8 years old or something. Okay, so Mr. Clean, Rosie, Captain Crunch, and the Maytag repairman. Thank you very much. So now how many of you can name these two guys? Come on, you're a smart group. Very well-educated group. Somebody's got to be able to name these two guys. No, nobody? No, I'm playing with you, actually. It's very understandable that you recognize all the other faces and not these two guys, because all these two guys did was discover DNA. It was just a little thing that they did. So, see, the problem is, this is James Watson and Francis Crick. The problem with them was they didn't do something important. They didn't buy enough television advertising, right? Had they just bought more advertising, we would know that, because in 1965, all you needed was 3 commercials in prime time to reach 80% of the audience. 3 commercials in prime time got you 80% of the eyeballs. Can you imagine? Right? No wonder ad guys were doing so well in those days. So to get that same level of attention, I'll tell you in a moment how much you require, but the ironclad rule of marketing at the time was you just bought a lot of television and you poured all those marketing campaigns into the funnel, the classical marketing funnel, and that drove business. It drove repeat business eventually. You just had to buy enough marketing, right? So what this enabled was, it enabled a lot of very average brands to do what? To achieve above average results, right? Because there was nothing different really about Mr. Clean than other cleaners. There was nothing different about Bounty paper towels relative to other paper towels. They just bought more advertising. But to get the same level of effect, and now it's potential effect. It's not, you can't get 80% of the audience. You can get the potential maybe to get 80% if they don't time shift you, PVR you, et cetera. But it takes 117 commercials in prime time. I've been in the room with brands like Procter & Gamble, and I ask, how many of, which brands could afford that? P&G can't afford that. So how can most other brands, right? Nobody can afford that kind of weight in the marketplace. So as a result, in order to break through, it takes a different tactic. If you can't go out and buy the consumer's attention anymore, you have to win it. And that's what a lot of brands are really struggling with right now. That's the pain point, is that there's no amount of money that will allow you to interrupt people endlessly and badger them into buying your product.